These are pencils. See that? Do you know any little boy that wants to be caught in a classroom writing with a flower? So if they forget their pencil, this is what they have. And this is how I keep my pencils together. My name is Vicente, and I am the new Portuguese teacher, and I'm also the executive administrator of Portuguese United for Education School. My class is going to be fun. I can't speak for every other teacher, but here we are going to have fun. We're going to learn Portuguese, but it's going to be fun. But we have this amazing school in the North End. We have this amazing school right here in the South End. And now that we merged, I think it's very, very important that we work together. I don't think we should be the North End and the South End anymore. It's a one school. We just have two different locations, two campuses. We need to work together. We also, I think it's really important that we need to get the word out there that the school is not just for Portuguese kids. It's not just for those kids whose grandparents or whose parents speak Portuguese. It's for all kids. It doesn't matter what your background is, what language you speak at home. If you want to learn how to speak Portuguese, we're here. It's a new language, and that's really what I want to focus on right now, is get the word out there that anybody can speak Portuguese, including adults. As you know, we have an adult class. I want my students to say, I want to go to school today. I want to go to Portuguese school today. It's such a great opportunity. Like when you are older, there's so many jobs out there that if you speak another language, a second language, you're going to be picked for that job. Absolutely. Even now, I go sometimes, there's a lot of places that I used to take my parents to as a translator. Now, there's certain places that my parents love to go. They have their pharmacy. They prefer one over the other because they know that the technician in this pharmacy speaks Portuguese. It might be broken Portuguese. It doesn't matter. But I don't have to go along with it, and they feel comfortable. Oh, we're going to go here because such and such a person speaks Portuguese. And that's really important to people. What if you travel? What if you go to Portugal? You know, if you know Portuguese, your experience is going to be so much different than if you go there and you don't speak the language. I'm not just talking about Portugal. Could be a certain area in Bermuda, could be a certain space in Jamaica. It could be San Diego, California, where there's a huge Portuguese community. It could be San Francisco. It could be Newark, New Jersey. I mean, obviously everybody speaks English, but there's a lot of places that it's mostly Portuguese. It could be certain areas of European countries, you know, France. There's a huge Portuguese community. Luxembourg, I believe, is another one. If you speak Portuguese, your vacation is going to be so much different than if you don't. In Casa da Saudade is a library. It's a Portuguese library. And it also houses the immigrant center downstairs. And we have 2 classrooms upstairs to teach Portuguese to young adults. It's so much fun being Portuguese. When I first arrived here in the 80s, it was embarrassing to be Portuguese. It was that wave, I think it was the second wave of Portuguese people. A lot of fishermen were coming here. The mills at the time, I think, were at the beginning of the end. And it was not cool to be Portuguese. When I was in high school, I went to Bedford High School, 80 to 84, it was not cool. But now, are you kidding me? It is so cool to be Portuguese. Everybody wants to be Portuguese. I've come across people that tell me that they're Portuguese. I'm like, no, you're not. But you can be for a while. That's okay. I know. And it is. It's unbelievable. I think everybody wants to speak the language. We have an amazing culture. I mean, from music to food, customs, traditions. I mean, let's face it, we're fun. You know? Who else do you know that throws feasts every weekend? I think sometimes we come up with reasons why we have a feast on the weekends. You know? We're pretty cool, you know? I always bring up the Katy Perry, Steve Perry, all the popular Nuno Betancourt, the ones that the kids know, and I explain to them how, even though they live here, the families are Portuguese, they come from a Portuguese background, and everybody thinks that's really, it's really cool. So the kids get really excited when somebody that's really famous is Portuguese, because they actually, I don't think sometimes they believe it until they see it. What did I give my Portuguese experience? My first Portuguese experience, even though I was born in the United States, I was actually born in San Diego, in California. My parents had this crazy idea that we were going to live in Pico, in the island of Pico in the Azores. So I lived there for 12 years. So after 12 years, I had another crazy idea. They were going to come back to the United States. So we did, and I was a bilingual kid at Roosevelt. And from there, I went to high school. I wasn't bilingual that long. And then I went to college. And then I had children, I was married, and then a few years back, I decided to go back to school. But meanwhile, I was teaching in a couple of Catholic schools in the area. I was teaching Portuguese because my kids went to Catholic school, and I was actually asked to teach Spanish, and I said I can't because I don't speak Spanish, so I can't speak Spanish. I can, however, probably teach Portuguese, and I did. And I was there for 13 years. And then I went back to UMass Dartmouth to get a degree in liberal arts. I wanted to be a social worker. But then I took this English class that I really, really liked, and I actually ended up getting a bachelor's degree in English literature and criticism and sociology. So then I think I got the education fever, so I kept going, and within a year I got my master's and Master of Arts in Teaching, and within 2 months I joined the PhD program of Educational Leadership in Public Policy, and that's where I'm at right now. Teaching Portuguese especially to American kids, to me, it's like when I went back to school at an older age, and I thought there was a lot of things that I couldn't learn, and I did. And that's something to really be proud of, whether you're old or young. And I think it's really cool when the kids think that they can't learn a new language, they can't grasp a new language. They might be able to pick up a couple of words here and there, and they think they can, but that's not true. They can. They absolutely can learn a new language. And when they find out or they discover that they can learn a new language and they start utilizing their language, and they're like, have this big smile on their face. And I get kids to engage in dialogue. That's really, really cool. Because I know what they're saying, and they know what they're saying. And it's a big accomplishment for a little kid to speak a second language. The feedback from the parents is great. The feedback from the grandparents is better than great, especially the Portuguese grandparents, because a lot of kids, especially if they are being raised by their grandparents, they come into the classes and they know how to say certain things, a little slang, because they hear it, so they think they can spell it the way they hear it. So then I try to explain them. It's not really, that's how it sounds, but that's not how you write it. So once the kid goes back home and starts engaging in phrases that are a little bit longer than just yes, vovó, no, vovó, there's a lot of pride. One of the things that I always tell my students about, especially when I teach, because along with language, I teach a lot of culture, and a lot of children don't realize that the Azores are 9 islands, and Portugal is, 2 hours away by plane. They think everything's together, something that's all attached. They don't really understand the geography part of it. So I always tell them where the Azores are. I talk to them about the Azores. I tell them how I climbed the mountain of Pico. Even though I lived there for 12 years, I never climbed it. I climbed it the day I turned 40. So I actually went to the Azores on my 40th birthday just to climb that mountain. And they're always so interested, like they don't believe me. Do you have pictures? I'm like, yes, I have pictures. I have proof. Our books, the books that we use in our curriculum are paralleled, actually, the books from Instituto Camões from Portugal. That's the book that we use. I think that's really important. that we use those books. Our teachers, we have teachers that have been here for many years, but we have new teachers. Teachers that have taught in Portugal, teachers that have taught here, teachers that currently teach here in the public schools. I mean, everybody's using iPads, computers. Technology is the way of the future, but we can't forget about books either. I'm big on books because you learn to write, you learn to read. Reading actually improves your vocabulary, which is really important. But yes, computers are very, very important. I mean, if I had, I have a dream, I guess, that every kid in our schools would have an iPad, and we could, but that's not possible right now. We were really lucky that we got a local school to donate 20 computers to our school. So now we have at least 2 computers per classroom. And I think that's going to help us because we can log on straight to certain websites that are parallel to our curriculum, and then the kids can work with that. Especially kids that might need a little extra help. The visuals sometimes in a computer really help them, and I plan on incorporating that into our curriculum. I think the community is extremely important. Students are very important, parents are very important, but I think for a school to be successful and a well-rounded school, we need the community. The community can help in so many ways. They can help, and I'm not just talking financially. They can help us with outreach. They can help us when we have events. They can help us. They could even help us sponsoring children. There are so many different ways to get involved with that school. That would be to, each business in the community to help. Oh yeah,
Food,
and
a
food.
big thing,
How could I forget the food? Are you kidding me? Yes, food is really important. Especially Portuguese are famous for eating certain foods certain times of the year. So one of the things that I have done in the past, around Christmas time, I teach them about traditions. And as you know, Christmas Eve, Portuguese are famous for eating the codfish, with the potatoes and the kale, a consoada. So I usually, I've had a class where we actually made that meal for the 8th graders, and the principal did not like the way that the school smelled. So we had to close all the doors and use air freshener because it was codfish. The only thing that I can promise to the students, the parents, and overall I suppose the community, is that I am going to do everything I can to fill these classrooms. But I can't do it alone. It is extremely, extremely important that parents get their kids in these halls. We're here at night. I mean, if a child is involved in sports, we have a very flexible schedule. We'll work around the schedule. I think that's really important. Why are you going to have your kids stay home on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night playing video games when they can be here learning a language? And it's fun. My class is going to be fun. I can't speak for any other teacher, but here we are going to have fun. We're going to learn Portuguese, but it's going to be fun. Portuguese isn't just for Portuguese people. Portuguese is for everybody. And I think that's the message that I really want to get out there in our community.